Bank overdraft fees tumbled to a 13-year low. Banks have been reducing or eliminating overdraft fees after they faced heavy public pressure to curb junk fees, extra fees put on top of upfront prices that are sometimes hard to find merit for. But the survey also found that consumers were seeing more money go into ATM transaction fees, especially for using ATMs out of banks' networks. The average combined ATM fees for an out-of-network withdrawal came to a record high of $4.73, which just beat out the previous record in 2019 of $4.72. Joining us now with more about the survey and how you can think about saving, we've got Bankrate.com Chief Financial Analyst Greg McBride. Greg, great to have you here with us. Help us break down a little bit more of these findings here and where perhaps people might be getting nickel and dimed as they're looking to take out some of those dollars.
Well, the ATM fees, Brad, they remain in the sort of upward trend that's been continuing for decades. And with less use for cash, with people making fewer ATM withdrawals, the cost of maintaining those networks is being spread over fewer transactions. That's really been a big contributor to the steady escalation in fees that we've seen over the years. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you go outside the network and make an ATM withdrawal, you're not just paying one fee. Oftentimes you're paying two. You're going to pay your bank and you're going to pay the ATM owner together. Those fees average out to almost $5, but you could easily pay more than that, as much as $6 in some cases. So really pays to plan ahead as to where and when you make those withdrawals.
And Greg, you raise a good point, because I can't actually remember the last time that I went to an ATM. There's so many different ways to sort of get, cash back when you make a transaction. If they, ask if you want money back that way, you have, some things like Cash App and other ways to basically get cash to people without having to take cash out. What does this mean then for the future, some of these ATM fees? Are we just going to continue to see them just keep rising?
Yeah, I think over time, Rochelle, we will see the fees continue to rise. We may also see fewer ATMs over time as cash becomes less and less popular as a payment mechanism. But for now, it's one of those things where even if you're in a pinch, as you noted, you can get cash back at the point of sale when you use your debit card. You're not hostage to higher ATM fees. I have to tell you, I was in an airport a couple of weeks ago. There was an unbranded ATM in the airport. Those tend to charge the highest fees. And there was just a steady stream of people making withdrawals from this ATM. It's like, what? You didn't realize you needed cash for vacation? So just planning ahead so that you can do that within network. And a lot of smaller community banks and credit unions, even they belong to nationwide ATM alliances. So it's very feasible. Most people may have thousands or even tens of thousands of ATMs at their disposal that they can use free of charge.
And so I'm glad, Greg, that we've got these tips up on the screen right now. What are some of the best ways that people can avoid higher ATM fees?
Yeah, plan ahead. A lot like health insurance. You got to stay inside the network. If you go outside the network, it's really going to cost you. Pull out your phone, look on the bank's app, and find the location of nearby ATMs. Plan ahead as to where and when you make those withdrawals so that you can do so within the network or at one of the surcharge-free ATMs that's within the bank's alliance. It's really, really important there. If you're in a pinch, as Rochelle noted a moment ago, you can get cash back at the point of sale when you use your debit card. That's a way to, it's essentially tantamount to a free withdrawal. Great way to get cash if you're really in a pinch and you're not nearby an ATM.
And obviously, for some people who need to make purchases and they don't have an ATM and they start relying on their credit cards, we're seeing this rise in credit card delinquencies as well. Talk about the demographics that we're seeing within that, because we keep hearing that title, that $1 trillion number, but within it, and the demographics there, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's not the $1 trillion that really gets my attention. It's the trajectory, the fact that we've got some of the lowest unemployment in more than 50 years, and yet we are seeing delinquencies move up. We're seeing credit card balances move up. More people are carrying balances. They've been carrying them for a longer period of time, and at a time when credit card rates are at a record high. So, people are not financing purchases at 20% because everything's hunky-dory. They're doing it because they're feeling financial strain. I think that's a clear indicator of it. Younger and lower income households in particular, but even a lot of middle income households have really been stretched by inflation. More households living paycheck to paycheck, and unfortunately, the credit card has really been the buffer, either for unplanned expenses or just at the point where income stops and the expenses keep going.